What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to go over 3 things that I believe will help you move from that 3.0 to 3.5 or from that 3.5 to 4.0 level. It's 3 things that I see recurring over and over again at all levels of play. And I feel like if you add these things to your game or make these little tweaks, you'll drastically make a jump through the levels, move up through those USTA teams, move up through those high school rankings, and even potentially make big match changes when you're playing USTA tournaments. Let's get into it. Now, before we get into it, guys, I have an announcement to make. If you are new to the channel, please consider liking and subscribing. I'm not usually the guy that asks for that, but the announcement is I have confirmed that there are 3 other YouTube channels that want to work with me and want to do some collab work. But what they said was, and what we agreed was, the channel needs to get up to a certain number of subscribers to make that happen. So the first goal is 2,500. So if you're new to the channel, please consider liking and subscribing so we can make those collaborations happen. And with that, let's get into the video. So thing number 1 is probably the easiest, and you would think it's the most obvious, but I promise you it's something that most people just do not do enough of. Pay attention. Just pay attention to what's going on the court, on your side as well as your opponent's side. Way too often, especially at the lower levels, people get very self-centered and self-focused. They focus on how they want to hit the ball, their technique, their plan, their tactic, and they don't take into account what's going on the other side of the net. Remember, there's always at least 2 people on the court, and their goal is actively opposed to what you're trying to do. If they're trying to beat you and you're trying to beat them, you have to take into account what they're doing on the court. So a lot of times I've coached people who play USTA leagues, and they literally will come off the court and not notice that the person that they're playing is left-handed. Or they'll say, I didn't notice that the person was left-handed until the second set. That's so much information that you could use, and your tactic and your plan could easily change just by taking in obvious information. Way too often people are just like, well, my favorite shot is to hit my forehand down the line, or my favorite shot is this, and they don't pay attention to the fact that maybe that shot is feeding right into what somebody else likes to do or the way they like to receive the ball. Some moonballers, some hard hitters, some heavy hitters, your tactic that is your default might play right into the way somebody would prefer to have the ball hit to them. So step 1 is literally just take more information in and don't be so self-focused. You obviously have to make adjustments on your side of the court, but there's always something going on the other side that has to be taken into account. Otherwise, your plan has to be perfect from the beginning in order to be successful. So I'm going to be using the ball machine to illustrate thing number 2. And thing number 2 is something that actually needs to be trained over a little bit of time to really work it in. But all thing number 2 is understanding that you have 2 halves of your body. And what happens on one half doesn't inherently have to happen on the other half. So for some people, when they're serving, for example, they toss the ball fast so that their right arm then ends up going up equally fast. And you need to be able to separate like this moving slow and then this being able to pick up speed. Likewise, what happens on your upper half of your body doesn't have to happen on the lower half. I'm going to be working specifically on that one with the ball machine. But separating speed, your upper body moving fast doesn't mean your lower body has to move fast, and vice versa. If your lower body is moving fast, it doesn't mean you have to swing fast. Learning how to separate what's going on in one half versus the other is a big thing that a lot of people just don't do well enough, and it can take a lot of pressure off of you once you realize how easy it is to do. So I'm going to use the ball machine to illustrate that one now. So this exercise is pretty simple to explain, but it takes practice to actually figure out how to do it. What you're going to do is break your movement into 4 different series. You're going to go slow, slow, fast, 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 slow, and slow, fast. What that means is one half of your body moving at one speed and the other half moving at different speed or the same speed on purpose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go slow and slow, meaning my feet move slow and then my racket moves slow as well. My feet move slow, and then my racket moves slow. Then I'll separate. I'll go slow with my feet, but then I'll go slow and then fast. I'll go slow, fast. Then I'll go fast with my feet and then slow with my hands. Fast and then slow. Then I'll go fast and fast. I'll go fast again and fast again. It takes practice to build it in, but most people, once they do one thing with one half, They do the same thing with the other half. And if you know how to separate these four, you can take so much pressure off yourself. Here's why. Let's say I'm playing against somebody who's relatively easy for me to beat. Relatively easy. That means that my level of movement and my level of swing speed should be different. Let's say the person moves me around, but the ball is slow. I have to keep my foot intensity up, but then the swing might not inherently need to be that fast because I'm not stressed out by what this person's doing. Likewise, the person might be giving me a lot of balls to the center, but they're a good mover. I could relax here and then rip into shots and put a lot of pressure on them just by doing that. And then likewise, I would also play somebody that's super intense and my feet have to move and then my racket speed has to match because that's how good the other person is. But going slow and then slow, or fast and then fast, those are completely separate skills and they are deserving of a certain opponent. And most people default to playing at a speed, and if my feet are slow, my hands are slow. Or if my feet are fast, my hands are fast. And a lot of unforced errors come from not being able to differentiate the two, or technically differentiate the four. And lastly, number 3 is another mental thing, but also physical. Be predictable. I know, crazy. Be predictable. You would think that that's a negative, but it's actually not. And being predictable is not something that's uncommon. Think about your favorite tennis player. Nadal, Federer, John Isner, it doesn't matter who it is. You know how they're going to play. There's no surprise, there's no mystery to the way that that person plays. And somehow they're still really good. There's no negative thing for me knowing that John Isner is a big server. I still have to deal with it. There's no negative to me knowing that Rafael Nadal hits the ball really, really heavy. If I was his opponent, I still have to deal with that. And they're not changing the way they play. The reason why being predictable is actually really important is it shows that you're actually working on developing a play style that you can hold to. And you know how to make adjustments within your play style. So if you go back to the first thing we talked about where you have to pay attention to what's going on both sides of the net, you should still have the ability to go, well, my backhand is my favorite shot, and my backhand, when I hit it down the line, is going to the shot that they like. Let me use my really strong backhand and attack cross court instead. Knowing how to make adjustments within your own play style and tactic is something a lot of recreational players don't actually do well. They kind of just throw everything at the wall and wait to see what sticks rather than sticking to an overall game plan and knowing how to make adjustments within it. An example would be one of my friends is a serve and volleyer. And when he's playing me, he always serves and volleys. But if I'm returning well, what he'll do as a changeup is instead of serving and volleying every time, sometimes he'll serve and attack the first ball, then come in because I'm passing him on his first serves instead. Rather than just not coming to the net at all, he just decides, I'm still want to go to the net, still stick to my plan, but I'm going to give myself a little bit of time before I do it. That's what I mean when I say being predictable and sticking to your plan, but also knowing how to adjust within your plan. That's something that a lot of people could really stand to work on, but that also requires you knowing your strengths and your weaknesses so you can build upon them. But that's going to wrap up this video, guys. I hope you guys found some value in it. If you know anybody would benefit from it, send it off to them. And please consider liking and subscribing so we can hit that 2,500 goal and get that first collaboration in the works. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.